Episode 229 Above Ground Podcast. Save yourself.
Disclaimer. The hosts of this podcast, Timothy Patrick and Will Foley, are by no means medical professionals. However, having lived experience with mental illness themselves, they have gained useful perspectives on common mental health issues that some of us struggle to overcome on a daily basis. By sharing their stories, they hope to create connection. By creating connection, they hope to help you find your purpose. And through purpose, we can all begin to build the foundation for positive mental health. This is Above Ground Podcast.
Coming at you live with real conversations about mental health from the perspective. It's time for Above Ground Podcast. Now your hosts, TPP and Will Foley.
Timmy, what's up, man?
Jordan,
How the hell are you?
you scared the...
Oh, I'm sorry, I snuck up on you there.
You did.
Yeah, I was holding this spot for Will. He said he'd be right back. Will, wherever you are, we miss you, man. Obviously, Will's not here today, but I'm here. My name's Jordan. I'm happy to be with you today.
Hi, Jordan.
Hi, Tim.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, it's my honor. Really, it's my honor. And you know what I'd like to talk about today? Something that's been on my mind lately.
What?
Blame. Like, I got all these people they're to blame for what's going on in my life. They're to blame for my situation, really.
They're to blame.
Well, I don't want the accountability, so I give it to other people. Therefore, they're to blame.
How's that work out for you?
It's not working. What could I do differently, Tim? That's why I'm here. We need to talk about this.
We do need to talk about this. I think, part of owning your part is, and people will kind of get their own bias on this word, but like the victim mindset, a lot of people they look down on that. They think that, they hear that and they start to think that there's like negative connotations to it, but there's not. I think if you have a victim mindset, you need to kind of get rid of it and adopt a growth mindset.
We tend to reward people for calling out who's to blame. We want to know whose fault it is that these things that are happening happen.
Right.
And if you're the one who's, pointing out who's to blame, then we as a society tend to reward those people. So there's more and more of those people because they're being rewarded for their actions. But there's nothing wrong with calling people out for what they've done wrong if they've done something wrong. But there is something wrong with not taking accountability for what you've done wrong when you know it was your fault.
Sure.
I
think that what comes with it, like you can mention that somebody did something wrong, but I don't like what usually follows is the whole shame and guilt that people lay on somebody else. You know what I mean?
I can see what you're saying. I know they go hand in hand, and we almost expect you to feel ashamed for receiving blame. If you mess up, you mess up. If you choose to feel shame for making a mistake, then it's your choice. And
so let me ask you this: so if you let me actually change that. So if somebody in your circle messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather them, if they realized it, like kind of have accountability and come to you and say, hey, look, I messed up. I was wrong about this.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize. Or would you rather just them kind of brush it off?
It's funny you say that, man, because like I do have someone in my inner circle who is 100%, if not 1,000% to blame for the situation that they're in. But they don't see it that way. They see that like, they've been done wrong.
Right.
That because of what actions other people have taken have led to their misfortune. And, there's no going through this journey of life solo. There's always people that you're going to bump into, bounce off of, and interact with that will shape your life's journey to whatever end. But you have to attempt to find the sort of accountability that would tell you that, the situation that you're in now may in fact be your fault. And if it's not your fault, then how do you handle that? How do you handle when you're in a situation that's not your fault at all, and you are a victim, and there is someone else to blame? And how do you know the difference? You know,
Yeah.
it's difficult when you do have someone in your inner circle who's obviously to blame for where they found themselves. They don't want the blame, and in fact, they put it on you, and it's unrealistic what they expect.
Yeah.
It's difficult when you love that person to the point where, I mean, God, they're family. Family can do that.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, absolutely. I don't think it matters. Yeah. It's just, it doesn't matter if you're family or what, or a boss. You know, I think if you're human, you have the capability to do that.
yes.
And again, it's like, you know, if you asked me, 10, 15, 20 years ago, I probably would have fell into that category of, hey, I'm fucked up because, my parents messed up or whatever. But it's like, I've let go of that a long time ago. It's like, you know what? It's always somebody else's fault, and it may be somebody else's fault. But that's not what it's about. It's about now it's my responsibility.
There you go. Bingo.
To pick up the pieces.
Bingo.
Right? It's like you can sit there and point the finger. You can also sit at a train station when the train is closed and not going to run by and wait for a train.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work out for you.
So, yeah, I like that example. I like the point that you're making here. It's up to us to not to figure out who's to blame, but to figure out how we respond to what's been done, whether it's in our control or not in our control.
Exactly. Instead of using your energy to focus on why or who's to blame, why did they do it, use the energy to go, okay, let me figure out what is happening, and A, do I like how I am reacting or responding?
Yeah.
And then B, if I don't, what can I do differently?
There you go.
How do I put one foot in front of the other and make a change or work towards a change?
Yes. Right. So
I want to decrease this and increase this, And again, I don't think you can do that with having a fixed mindset or a victim mentality.
Right.
You need a growth mindset. You need to look at something as a goal or whatever you want to call it and work towards that something.
Sure. And in order to grow, you have to be ready, willing, and able to respond to what is occurring in your life and move in any direction.
Sure. And you have to be willing to own the shit that you caused yourself.
Take accountability. Sometimes it is your fault. Sometimes you are to blame.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to own that shit. Sometimes you work so hard to achieve this little dream of yours, and it finally happens, and it ends up looking like a responsibility.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
It's like, once I finally get to this place or find this thing, everything's going to be fine. And what you find is like being a billionaire is a lot of work. Living the dream isn't easy. Sustaining that.
Sustaining it, right.
Yeah. It takes constant effort. And then you understand, I got myself here. I wanted this.
Right.
I put these gears into motion years ago, and now here I am blaming others.
Beware what you wish for.
Yeah, a dream come true is a responsibility for you, man.
Right.
That's what it is.
Right, but if that's what you want, take accountability for it, and and again, even if it's not what you fully envisioned it to be, maybe you can influence it into a certain way. It's your ship. Steer it in the direction that you choose.
Sovereignty.
Or you still have the choice to go, hey, you know what? Just like I said to you, would you rather somebody say, hey, you know what? I made a mistake. I wanted this in my life. Now that I have it, I do not want it in my life.
Well, when we're afraid, we surrender our sovereignty to others. We would rather just give it away to someone who appears to be in control than rather control it or be accountable for it ourselves.
So is that like blaming somebody? Is that what you're...
Well, it's afraid of blame. You're afraid of taking the blame. You know that like this mess is yours. I crap my pants, but I don't want to change it. So I'm going to sit in it and pretend it didn't happen, or expect someone to come clean me up.
I gotcha.
And neither one of those work, you know. So,
No, that's right. At the end of the day, neither one of those work. Exactly.
And it's rare that someone will come to your rescue unless you ask to be rescued. And also you have to be very wary of the people who are quick to respond to that, because they might just want to manipulate and control.
But going back to a few episodes ago, you know, can anyone really rescue you? No, I don't think so. I think they could help. They can be a shoulder, they can be someone to lean on when you need a little help, a little motivation. But they can't do the work.
I think anyone that we allow to rescue us, therefore, becomes our ruler, and it's up to us to rescue ourselves and to know that like we're capable of rescuing ourselves with the help of others. We're a team. We're in this together. All right. There's no one on God's green earth that is in any way superior or inferior to me. We're all equals. We're all an equal playing field. Some of us like to call the shots. Some of us are in positions of authority. Some of us use that position of authority to control and manipulate, harm, and hurt others.
Right.
Right? Those people you need to be wary of.
Yeah, oh, sure. And that's, I think greed can take over.
Greed does take over.
In those situations, when people get into those positions.
Well, there's a lot to be gained from that position of authority. People know that, so they volunteer themselves.
Okay.
To be in charge, to have the answers. Even if they don't, they want to have the answers. It's to be open and vulnerable is a risk. And we all know this because we've all been there. And it puts us in a position to be captured by others, people who might look at the vulnerable as an opportunity.
So when you had mentioned before about a friend or somebody that you know that kind of digs their own hole.
Yeah.
What, in your opinion, in that situation, what is it that drives them to not really like look outside the box or whatever you want to call it? Like, what is it? Is it just their mentality, or is it something that they really believe, like, oh, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them?
I wish I had the answer to that.
Okay.
I can only look at the individual, see what they're dealing with, where they come from, who they are, what their capacity for understanding, learning, and making progress is. And if I understand that this person and every one of us is starting from a different place in life, and where they're at now might be the best that they could ever hope for, and the best that they could hope for is to continue to tragically walk into these hardships and then point fingers at the other people around them, and that's that.
So maybe it's learned behavior. Maybe it's habits that.
It's rewarded behavior.
Rewarded behavior.
Yes. It's a simple mechanism that we have built into us. We're going to go towards incentives in life. All right. If there's incentive built into any behavior, we're going to continue that behavior. All right.
Okay. I can see. Yeah, I get you.
So if crying when a child falls down alerts their mother to come pick them up off the ground, the child's going to learn to cry when they're in pain. Now, that's necessary. A parent needs to know when their child's in pain to respond to that situation. But that does continue throughout life, and then you'll find individuals that are in their advanced age that use these hardships to gain attention from their peers. Once they get attention, they receive reward for their hardship.
Okay. So do you think this is kind of two parts, I guess, blaming others. Mm-hmm. Is that always, do you think that the person is in a bad place, is like in a negative mindset? Mm. And do you think blaming others is really a projection?
Sometimes others are to blame, and sometimes it is a projection. It depends on the situation.
Okay,
every situation has to be looked at individually. personal experience. Time to open up, Tim. Here I go, becoming vulnerable with you.
You don't have to.
I would love to.
Okay.
I think
All right,
this is what the podcast is. A person, an individual in my life has found a way to ensnare themselves in every sticky opportunity that comes up, and including the people.
Ensnare
Themselves in these
Wow.
opportunities. And the people that are involved in these ensnarements tend to be the less savory element of our society. Now, seeing this happen, I attempt to warn the person, hey, person X, you're getting yourself caught up with someone who appears to not have your best intentions in mind. They don't want the best for you. In fact, they're actually trying to exploit, manipulate you. Calling this person out, saying that they're in harm's way, causes them to lash out at me.
back at you.
Saying that I'm the reason that they're in the hardship in the first place. If it wasn't for what I did in the past, they wouldn't be here. Now, is this accurate? I don't think so. Is it projection? 100%. What do I do with it? Well, I could be angry. I could yell. I could respond back with other accusations that are unfounded. Or I could hear it, accept it, and allow it. Because even if I allow abuse or allow that sort of mistreatment, it doesn't mean that I represent what it is that they're saying. Sometimes, for me, not for everyone, but simply allowing people to say what they have to say, those words hang in the air like odor, all right? Like a foul stench. And all you got to do is say some stupid crap, and immediately you know. Immediately you know that what you said is
Crap.
is crap. And then you're forced to smell your crap. So go ahead, say what you got to say. Know what I mean?
Okay.
All right.
So so sometimes people could be venting, do you think? Or no?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we all vent, and there's places to vent, and there's people to vent too. And venting looks different. Venting can sometimes look like meeting up with peers and discussing what our past week or month has looked like, and kind of laying out the events for people to hear, and then having them respond with helpful criticism or advice. And other times venting can look like an absolute explosion of suppressed emotions and a temper tantrum. And I don't believe that to be helpful. Yes, it might feel like some sort of orgasmic release at the time, but then comes the, pardon my French, post-nut clarity, where you have to then clean up after yourself and figure out what went wrong. We're all adults here. I'm just, it's the...
you're right.
Yeah.
Do you think, like shifting the blame onto somebody else is, I guess what I'm, after hearing that, I'm wondering if people realize that they're doing it, or if people do it intentionally so they don't have to look at their own behaviors as take accountability for their own.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to look in the different mirrors that society offers us. If we're always looking in that mirror that doesn't represent us the way that we want to be represented, then we're going to have a poor image of ourselves.
Right.
An image that doesn't exactly sustain the image that we're trying to sustain, if you know what I mean.
Right.
We're all attempting to represent ourselves to the best of our ability to society. And, there is a representative in everyone, and there's someone who's misrepresented inside of us. There's a part of us that isn't represented very well. And maybe that's the part of us that tends to blame others. We don't feel that we're represented so well. So that must be your fault.
Right. Okay.
It must be someone else's fault.
I'm just trying. Yeah. I'm just trying to understand it, I guess, a little bit more, because I'm sure I've done it in the past. I'm just trying to understand it as, I'm trying to look at it differently and wonder if people could reframe the situation, or if you could, if it was somebody close to you, you could say, hey, let's try and reframe this. And instead of looking at it the way you're looking at it, let's look at it this way.
Well, yes, we could try to reframe the situation, or we could look at it for what it is. And I don't know, because me looking at the situation for what it is isn't the way others may look at that situation. It's all based on perspective. So
I was just going to say,
so
keep things in perspective, and I got you.
So
I got what you're
each
saying.
person offers their perspective on what has occurred. Each person accepts any blame or accountability that they believe they should be accepting. Mm-hmm. And then we agree to disagree, or we see that this case is closed. Hey, this is what I did. I'm not calling you out on what I think you did, but this is what I did.
Right.
And moving on.
Yep.
Moving on.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't change, like we've said, we can't really change anybody. I mean, it's tough being in that position with a friend or whatever, because I think if they're close in your circle, they could also, I feel like it's easy for them to drag you down into that muck.
That can happen.
You know what I mean?
That can happen, yeah. Why wouldn't you attempt to go down into that muck with someone that you have committed your entire life to, or someone that you've been around since the day you were born? Why wouldn't you, be, as the kids say, ride or die with the people that mean the most to us?
Right.
And if that means going down into the muck of casting blame onto others or accepting the blame for something that isn't your fault, I mean, I don't like the sound of either one of those. So here we find ourselves looking at blame, accountability, control, and power like dirty 4-letter words. But really, all of these things are entirely helpful and useful in everyday life.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Let me say this, actually. They can be useful. They can help us identify certain patterns, certain habits, certain things that we believe, and it can also direct us to changing things.
Absolutely. Look at them like signals, street signs, like
you keep passing, you keep rounding the block, and you realize you keep seeing the same street sign over and over again.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, do I want to continue this drive in this circle? Or do I want to see different street signs?
Or if you're like driving down a street and it says dead end 500 feet and you just keep driving. Dead end 250 feet, you keep driving.
You actually put it on the gas.
Yeah, you're going faster.
You go faster.
This is someone else's dead end. It's not mine.
Not mine.
No, and then you go and there's a guardrail.
Like you test it.
Yeah, and there's a guardrail and you can't drive any farther. So you get out of the car and you yell at the guardrail. What the hell?
See, you know what? Like getting into this conversation right now, I don't understand that. Like, I don't understand that behavior. So it's hard for me to, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
we joke around, but, like, there's people that are going to, like, blame that guardrail. Yeah. And I don't get it. I'm like, I have a hard time with other things in life, but if I see a sign that's like road ends in 500 feet, I know to stop or turn around or whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, if I'm driving in a 2-lane road, I'm in the right lane that says right lane closed 500 feet.
Yeah.
I don't gun it and keep trying to get in front of people.
There's so many ways that we can relate like traffic patterns to our struggles with our emotional
well-being. It's the only way I know really how, like.
Well, but it's easy for people to understand. And it's easy to explain as well.
Right. It's just how it's how I can relate to it better, because I just don't, again, like, I don't know. Sometimes I see things as easy in life, that if people are there's signs, they're giving you the answers. Yeah. But then there's other things that people may see easy that I find extremely difficult. So
what I've noticed, and this may be helpful, that sometimes people will ignore street signs. Sometimes they'll ignore warnings when they become complacent with their situation. All right, they've had a good stretch of luck. They have, a good driving record under their belt. They haven't been pulled over by the cops in a long time.
Right.
So I don't need to see the sign. I've been down this road before. I can ignore that. It doesn't apply to me. I'm good. Complacency can and will lead to blame shifting. Because the way I've been doing things is working, and it's worked so far that if something doesn't work, it must not be because of me.
I got what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's as simple as I can put it.
Right, because if I've been doing this and it's worked, right? It's almost like I feel like it's It's like what do they call it? It's like going down the road with like those not
Blinders.
blinders, but like the
Tunnel
horses
vision.
have. And it's like
Oh, yeah.
like you know what I mean? Like I'm only seeing what I'm doing, so it's like I'm good. Like doesn't matter if there's trees falling around you; they're not my fault. Like so I don't have to like. But that's the thing. It's like not my fault a tree falls, but I have to. It's my thing. It's my job to like turn or stop or figure out a way around the tree or figure out. If the tree falls on me, how do I get out of my car? Like, you know what I mean?
Okay, well, here's the problem. Here's what we're getting at here. Life is so much easier if we ignore some things and take accountability for just a small number of things. Life is harder if we take accountability for all things and attempt to see all things for what they are. It's constant pressure and work to be mindful in every single moment and to have intention with everything we do
right.
or say. So we flick that switch off in our head and just drive down that road and ignore the signs. And we all do it. It's life is difficult, man. And some will say it's as hard as you make it. So if life is as hard as you make it, then just go through life on cloud nine with rose-colored glasses, putting blame on others, not blaming yourself for anything, or even being accountable for what you are to blame for.
Can you, at this stage in your game, can you go down that road blindly and just be like even though you kind of know what's going on?
I want to, and I do it subconsciously without even realizing it because, I'm just a sheep in the herd. I'm just following the pack. Most days, I'm not thinking about what I'm doing, and that sucks, man. I hate to say it, but it's just true. And then every now and then I open my eyes and I have these moments of like jaw-dropping accountability, like, oh shit, man, I really did fuck that up. That was me. Okay, I should try to make that right. And it's better than not. It's better than just going through life with the blinders on and ignoring the signs. And if you find yourself in a situation where you are accountable, if you are to blame, if things are your fault, and it's hard, and I understand, but express some sort of accountability for what you are accountable for instead of blaming others.
Just even just in small pieces, you know what I mean?
In small pieces.
Just break something off and be like, you know what? Okay, I'm accountable for that, and I will take that. And then maybe, you know what I mean, next time you can break off a little bit bigger piece or something.
Yeah, and by no means am I telling you to fall on the sword and take blame or accountability for everything.
Right, yeah. Don't take accountability for something just to do it. I mean, if it's totally not, you know what I mean? But there's certain things that, I mean, if it's your life, you have a hand in it. It's in some way.
Yeah, you do. You're a participant in this story, and you're playing the game with everyone else. So I think, if things are looking like the odds are stacked against you, if everyone's out to get you, and for whatever reason, no one's on your side, and you have a cast of characters in your life that you'd like to put the blame on, stop for a second. Understand, maybe a little bit of that blame it's on you. Identify what you may have done wrong. Be accountable for that. Take back a little bit of that power, right? And then move on from there, or try to move on.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's small, anything, just move forward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Crawl if you have to, but
yes.
Anything to get out of those patterns, I think, is a positive.
It's one of the most difficult things in life, Tim, is to break out of a pattern.
It is.
Some patterns serve us, and even when they no longer serve us, we keep going forward with those patterns.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you've been doing something for that long, it's extremely hard. And some of the research says that you actually don't technically lose that habit. It just gets pushed to the back, and whatever you know what I mean. So the thing that we have to keep in mind is under like extreme duress, that habit is going to come forward because it's so prevalent in your life that that groove is so deep in the record, it's going to skip to that song.
and it does every time.
Yeah, it can happen.
Yeah.
So I think the most important thing is to allow yourself some grace.
Yeah.
And just be like, hey, you know what? Like, that happened. Own it.
Yeah.
Take account. That's when accountability is needed, and just be like, hey, it happened. I'm human.
Yeah.
Understand that it was a mistake. Understand that I don't want it to happen. That wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes things do happen.
And understand that it hurts to be accountable. It hurts to bear that weight. And it may be unsustainable to be accountable for everything that you're truly accountable for. It's tough. I get it. I understand. Start small. If you understand that you're to blame in some small way for something that has happened, begin somewhere. All right, begin to reconcile with the fact that some of the blame's on you, and if some of the blame is on someone else, I don't believe it's your duty to try to receive their accountability. They're going to be accountable on their own terms.
Yeah, because that's going to be a whole other mess if you try and take other people's accountability for them. I think it's just going to wreak havoc on your own wellness.
For sure.
You know, it's a lot of weight to carry.
For sure. You can't carry all the weight, but you can carry your weight.
Right. And that's all you can do.
Yeah.
You know, but I do feel that if we all follow suit and carry our own weight, I think it'll be a little bit easier for everybody.
That's it.
You know?
Yeah, that's it. I like that.
Yeah.
Carry your own weight.
Carry your own weight. Yeah. That's, rescue yourself. But at the same time, I think rescuing yourself will help clear up some of the waters for the boaters that are in your area. You know?
Make way!
Make way, damn it. So everybody, thanks for listening.
Thank you very much for listening, everyone.
And if you didn't know by now, I have a book that you can get at Amazon. So if you're open to learning new ways to handle life, if you're open to the healing journey, if you're willing to do the work and try out different ways to bring you closer to your goals, check out Never Underestimate the Power of You by TPP.
It's an awesome book. You should go out and get it right now. What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for?
Seriously. Put down the Oreos, put down the milk, go buy the book.
The link will be in the show notes. And another week, right? What do you think?
Hell yeah. I'm super pumped about being here, about being invited to be here, to be honored to try to attempt to fill in the place of Mr. Will Foley. It's been an experience, and hopefully I've served my purpose here. And
most certainly.
All right. Well, there it is, folks. As we always say,
get well.
Be safe.
Stay above. Thank you for giving us a listen. New episodes every Wednesday. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, you can share, rate, review, and even subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. Other ways to support the show: follow us on social media, share the content, share our episodes. You can also buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/abovegroundpod. For further concerns, show ideas, or just to say hi, you can email us at abovegroundpodcast@gmail.com. Once again, thank you for listening and supporting mental health. Keep the conversation going and stay above.